I'm Justin from Wrestling Junkie, and welcome to our Double or Nothing review. Before we get to like the full show, kind of talk about like, how it is overall. I feel like the second half of the show was way better than the start of the show. You had a few matches on the first half that was all right and decent, but you also had some matches that just felt you had a bad finish or just to be honest, it felt like the crowd just wasn't there in the first half, and they didn't really pick up until the last three matches. Um, but yeah, overall it was a solid card. There wasn't really no bad matches, and the ones I'll get into that later. But yeah, overall solid pay per view. But yeah, let's go into each individual match. And with our first match, we start off with the Battle Royale, and your winner was Orange Cassidy, and I feel like this was the right call. It was him and Swerve Strickland as the last two, and I think that was perfect. To be honest, after watching that last like 1v1 between the two, I would really like to see a feud between Swerve and Orange Cassidy. I think that's a great dynamic of somebody who Swerve feels like he takes himself very serious and he's very talented, obviously. And Orange Cassidy's obviously a guy who doesn't care, but is also really good in the ring. I feel like a feud between them two would be very good with it ending with Swerve taking the belt off of Orange Cassidy. But yeah, this is a solid match. I didn't catch like the first few minutes, but I caught the rest of the match, and I think it was pretty solid. Like I said, the right person won, Orange Cassidy. And yeah, I think I am interested to see what happens next between everybody, and we'll get into what happened with Ricky Starks, Juice, and Jay White after the tag team match. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, this was a solid match to start the night. This is one of the matches where I felt like the crowd would have been more happy because it feels like Orange Cassidy's one of those guys where everybody kind of likes him either on the internet and in the crowd and stuff like that, and they just didn't seem there tonight. But yeah, again, solid match, right person won, and yeah, on to the next match. And then for our next match, we had the unsanctioned match between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. In this match, we seen Adam Cole get the win over Chris Jericho. This match felt pretty slow. And honestly just didn't have too much going on. We did see Sabu do a table spot, which at first I thought he almost slipped and broke his neck, but thankfully the table was a bit closer, so it worked out pretty well. We did see Britt Baker get involved, hitting Chris Jericho with a kendo stick, then Saraya coming out, hitting her with a kendo stick, which prompted a match for Dynamite this week, which will be Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus Chris Jericho and Saraya. To be honest, I kind of wish this feud's already over. I think Adam Cole deserves better if to be put into a slot of either some type of big feud or for a singles title of some sort. Either you put him towards the world title or maybe the international championship or the TNT. But yeah, it just felt slow and just felt like they didn't have too much after everybody left ringside. Like after you had Roderick Strong and Sabu leave, and then JS leave, there wasn't too much that happened. And this finish to me, it was okay. I understand why it is, but I wish it was a bit better. And the way it ended was you had Adam Cole on top of Chris Jericho's ground and pounding, and the ref ended up stopping it. But yeah, I think the finish fell a little bit flat for a lot of people. And this is a feud that I'm kind of ready for to be over. I think it was a decent first feud to get Adam Cole back to where Adam Cole used to be, and I think he just deserves better. But yeah, this is another decent match, and probably my least favorite match of the night. But yeah, on to our next match. For our next match, we had the World Tag Team Championship match where we had FTR going into Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, and FTR would be victorious, which I think was the correct call. This is at this point of the night, this was probably match of the night in my opinion. It was your more average FTR match where it's more technical and less spot festy. But yeah, it's a solid. Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal did very well, playing the heel role as usual. And at one point, after Mark Briscoe got knocked down, you had Aubrey Edwards start to walk down, and then you had Sanjay Dutt kind of stop her for a second. Then Karen Jarrett had a guitar, hit Aubrey Edwards right over the head, in which she sold that perfectly. It was also funny because right after Karen just fell, or she tripped over and fell, which is kind of funny. But yeah, like I said, right people won. And then after the match, you had Ricky Starks kind of do like a promo or start to do a promo. Then JY and Juice kind of interrupted him and started attacking him. And then FTR kind of chased him away. So I'm assuming we're getting a FTR and Ricky Starks match versus Jay and Juice, JY and Juice Robinson, with the help of somebody else. Who that third person may be, I don't know. I'm guessing somebody from from Bullet Club. I don't know who they may recruit. I don't know who's like in Bullet Club right now. I know in New Japan it's kind of like all over the place. But yeah, this was a very solid match. FTR are probably gonna have a very long title reign, and I don't mind that at all. But yeah, this is solid. Mark Briscoe did a very good job as a special guest referee. He had those funny moments, but also did a good job of actually being a ref. Yeah, on to the next match. And for our next match, we had the TNT Championship on the line in a ladder match where we had Wardlow defend and beat Christian Cage in this match. This was the right call. However, during the match, the more and more I went on, I did want Christian to win. He is somebody who I think deserves one last run with some type of gold around his waist, whether it is a tag team or it's a singles. Doesn't really matter to me. I think he deserves to go out like that. Yeah, this was solid. At one point, Wardlow did a full like swanton bomb onto Luchasaurus on 2 tables, which is a very very cool spot for seeing somebody how big Wardlow is. Do those types of moves is insane. And then also, you had him ring himself between the ladder while you had one set up between like the apron and the barricade, which I felt like that really hurt him because the way he was screaming, it felt very like real pain. But yeah, this was a very solid match. Right person won in Wardlow, and I'm glad he actually won this match because it feels like this match is gonna help him have a good reign with this championship, and I feel like because he deserves that. His last reigns weren't amazing. And not due to him personally. I think it's just the booking of the TNT champion, how it's kind of passed around a lot. I think this time will be on him for a decent little while, and whoever does take it off of him, I think will be much deserving, and hopefully this isn't anytime soon. I think hopefully this lasts at least another month or 2 with the belt, and I think whoever gets it next, that would make sense to take it off of him. But just another solid match. I think at this point, this was probably my match of the night. And at this point, it felt like the matches were slowly getting better and better, which was obviously good. You want that for a big pay-per-view like Double or Nothing, which is, I don't know if it's AEW, if you can consider AEW like WrestleMania, but that's what, at least to me, it feels like. But yeah, this is another solid match, and on to the next match. And for our next match, we had the AEW Women's Championship on the line, where you had Jamie Hayter go against Toni Storm. And in this match, we did see a title change. We seen Toni Storm win the belt. At the start of the match, you had the Outcasts attack Jamie Hayter, be there for a little bit. They throw in the ring, the match starts. Jamie Hayter gets a little bit of offense in, but Toni Storm eventually wins. Now, I am under the impression that Jamie Hayter is going to be out for a little bit of time, which, if that is the case, I'm okay with this finish because I think you need your women's division to be represented very well, and if your champion's out, you probably should put your champion on somebody else. I think Toni Storm is a perfect champion. However, if Jamie Hayter is not injured and is not taking time off, I think this was a very bad call. I think you definitely should have had her win. But yeah, I think hopefully Jamie Hayter will be back for All In, which if she is, I think she have a rematch versus Toni Storm where she eventually wins it in her home country. But yeah, I think this was another solid match. It's a solid match as long as Jamie Hayter is actually injured. If it's not, then it's pretty bad. Because this match didn't last long either. It's like 3 minutes, I think. But yeah, I think I'm just hoping that Jamie Hayter, obviously, I don't want her to be injured. However, if she is, I think this is the right call. But yeah, not too much on this match, and then on to our next match. And for our next match, we had the AEW Trios Championships on the line in an open house rules match, where you had House of Black having the open challenge, and the Acclaimed would answer the open challenge. However, House of Black still gets the win. Now, the Acclaimed, was a team that I was very surprised to not be on the card, because it felt like just a few months ago they were one of the most over acts in AEW, and then to not being on the card at all, it just feels very weird, and I felt kind of bad for them because I feel like they are incredibly talented, and they're very over with the fans. And when they came out, it felt like that was like the starting point of the crowd kind of waking up a little bit and being more involved and cheering more, booing more, and just overall just being more involved. And also the Max Caster's rap to start the show, or to start their like match and stuff like that, was amazing. Doing a Dominic or a diss towards the Buddy with saying he's like cuck towards Dominic. Very funny. Max Caster is always amazing with his raps, and he's always like, he's not afraid to push the line a little bit and get a little edgy. But yeah, this match was match of the night. At this point, it was very good. House of Black, probably my favorite faction right now in AEW. Malachi Brody and Buddy Matthews are very talented, and I'm glad they won this match. They definitely deserved it. At one point, you had Billy Gunn going on a little run where he was doing his thing, hitting Famousers and stuff like that. So, yeah, this match was very good, very solid. People won in the House of Black. But yeah, this is another solid match, and like I said, probably match of the night up until this point. So, yeah, on to our next match. For our next match, we had the TBS Championship on the line, with Jade Cargill defending against Taya Valkyrie, which she would win, moving her streak now to 60-0. This was a very solid match. They work very well together, which is, I feel like, to be honest, I haven't watched too much Taya Valkyrie, and I'm pretty sure the first time I watched her was with her matches, since her debut. And she's actually very talented. I'm very much of a fan of her. I think she's somebody who AEW kind of needed to kind of like help the women's division, because they have a lot of talented people. However, it feels like they don't show them off. And I don't know why, but I feel like she's somebody who can help make the women's division feel more full. But yeah, they had a very good match. And after the match, you had Mark Sterling kind of start talking for Jade, saying she'll defend the champion anytime, any place, anywhere, and she can beat anybody, which prompted Chris Statlander's return, which I think was very awesome. I'm glad to see her back and finally healthy. And I think this is somebody I think everybody was kind of waiting for. I think everybody kind of knew that when Chris Statlander would be back, she would probably be the one to dethrone Jade. I kind of thought Taya would do it, and you have Chris Statlander beat Taya. However, that's not the case. But yeah, you would have them have a match right after this. Chris Statlander would beat Jade, and now you would have Chris Statlander as your new TBS champion. And yeah, this is very cool. Very like heartwarming moment for Chris Statlander after blowing both her ACLs and then coming back after I forget how long, because when I started watching AEW, she wasn't there yet, or she was already out, I think. So yeah, I'm very glad she's back. And it's very good to see the women's division feeling more full now. I think with Taya now in there, and now Chris Statlander back, helps even more. But yeah, this is one of the things where I think Jade. I don't know who I heard say this, but they said that you have your internet crowd and then you have your in-person crowd, and Jade in the in-person crowd felt very over. You had a lot of chance for her to win the match, and you also had a chance for Ty, which was very good as well. However, online you don't really see too much people like praising Jade. You see a lot of people think she's like hasn't developed too much and is still like very fresh, which she is very fresh. She's very new to it. However, she's still very talented, and she has so much room to grow. But yeah, this is another solid match, and this is, like I said, when the crowd started feeling like very like into it, which kind of sucks. So this is the third to last match. But yeah, on to our next match. And for our next match, we had the Pillars 4-Way for the AEW World Championship, where you had MJF come out on top and retain his AEW World Championship. This was 100% the right call. For entrances, everybody had a very cool entrance. You had Darby Allin coming out as like Elvis, riding a skateboard. You had Sammy announcing him and Ty Miller having a baby, which congrats to them. Very happy for them. And then you had MJF have like a very cool like final boss like theme, or like an entrance similar, like it reminded me of like Roman's WrestleMania entrance this past year. However, Jungle Boy was the first one out and he had just nothing going on, which I kind of felt bad for him, but that's kind of how the game works. Sometimes you're gonna have one man that's gonna be left out, and sadly it was Jungle Boy. But this was easily match of the night, a very, very good match. Every man really had like a good showcase. Even Jungle Boy, he's probably like the least best showing. If that makes sense. And yet at one point, you had everybody kind of do like their, like, I guess like their mentors. You kind of can say they all did like their mentors moves. You had MGF do a Crossroads, which you can kind of guess that's from Chris or Cody Rhodes. Then you had Darby Allin do the Scorpion Deathlock from Sting. You had Sammy do a Code Breaker from Chris Jericho. You had Jungle Boy do the Kill Switch from Christian, which is it's just a really cool thing to see. Very good match. MGF winning, I think, is the right call. And I think, I know in my prediction, I'm pretty sure I said that you're kind of ruining doing like a singles feud. But however, I think you can still do a Darby Allin feud and you can still do a Sammy Guevara feud. Sammy came off as like a very like face in this match. I don't know if that was like what they're going for in this match. However, that's what it came across. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens next for MJF. If they continue a Darby Allin or a Sammy or a Jungle Boy feud, or if he has something new coming along. But yeah, I'm very excited for that. And for Jungle Boy, I kind of want him to turn heel. I don't know if you can really do that, especially in the match where he had a chance to be very heelish when he had the belt in his hand and he could have hit Darby Allin over the head with it, but he chose not to. So I think you kind of ruined that. But I don't know, it just feels like Jungle Boy went from like very over with Jurassic Express to now being like somebody who just the crowd isn't liking, the fans on the internet aren't liking, and I don't know if what you really need to do for him. I feel like a heel change would help. However, I'm not a booker obviously, so I don't know what Tony Khan is gonna do. But yeah, this is still a very good match of the night in my opinion, even over what would be our main event, which we're gonna get into right now. In our main event, we had the Anarchy in the Arena match where we had the Elite take on the Blackpool Combat Club, which we would see the Blackpool Combat Club be victorious. Now, the match started very, very, it was annoyingly funny because Blackpool Combat Club had, somebody, sing their song, or John Moxley's song out, which the entire time, they start, as soon as the Blackpool Combat Club are walking from the stands and stuff like that, the Elite kind of charge at them and they start fighting the stands and the crowd. However, the entire time this is going on for the first it felt like at least 6 minutes of the match, you have the singer just keep singing along until the Young Bucks finally walk up stage, super kick him, which I think everybody was very happy that happened, because it just felt like he just kept on singing. But yeah, that's besides the point. This match had so much going on. It's an Anarchy in the Arena match. It's anything goes. You had people going outside. You had people going into the crowd. You had people at the concession stands. You had people outside. At one point, you had Claudio do a pile driver to one of the Young Bucks inside of a truck. You had him doing his swinging move into a trash can on one of the Young Bucks. You had John Moxley drop Kenny Omega on barbed wire poker chips. You had tax involved, which that tax spot with them pouring tax inside one of the Young Bucks' mouth was gross, and then hitting him and doing an uppercut. That was nasty. It was one of those moves that genuinely made me very ill in the stomach. But yeah, this match was all over the place. Very good match, and it felt like a good way to end the night. Even though I don't really know how to really say it makes sense why it was the main event. However, I probably still would have, knowing in hindsight, knowing what would happen in this match, I probably would end up having this be your co-main event instead of the MJF match and the 4-way match. I just feel like that, to me, I thought your world championship should always be the most important thing. However, I know sometimes it doesn't have to, and not every pay-per-view should have it, and Double or Nothing is notorious for not having their world championship be the last match. But yeah, I think it was still solid. A lot of great spots. Another tag spot they had Jay drop, I think Nick or Matt, I forget which bucket it is. They dropped one of them on foot first, open foot onto Tax after he did a super kick to Moxley with, after when he did the super kick, it exploded. He had some kind of firework, or explosive, which it looked really cool and like caught me by surprise. I was so like shocked when I seen I don't expect a super kick to blow up in somebody's face. Um, but yeah, this is a very good match. Great way to see it. After or towards the end of the match, you had Kenny Omega about to do his one winged angel on the Wheeler Yuta. However, Don Callis kind of gets in the ring and it's kind of like gets him to drop Wheeler Yuta. However, Kenny starts to face him, and then Takeshita comes out and hits Kenny Omega, kind of like fully aligning with Don Callis and also turning heel in the process. Now, I've seen a few people say that Don Callis and Takeshita are going to be a part of the BCC. I don't see that, to be honest. I think that was just to put a feud between Kenny and Takeshita, or Kenny and whoever, or Kenny versus Takeshita and somebody from the Bullet Club, maybe. Now, after the show went off air, Kenny Omega and the Elite were in the ring, kind of talking for a little bit, like they usually do, to close out shows. And he kind of said that he has a few friends to call to even the odds with Takeshita, which I think a lot of people are thinking it's either Kota Ibushi or probably Okada, which I think is something that they're going to set up for a Forbidden Door, which I think will be very interesting. I think Kota Ibushi and AEW will be like very popular, since it'll be like a reunion for him and Kenny. Obviously, they have a lot of history together, being tag team partners and kind of feuding for a little bit. But yeah, I think this is something I'm looking very forward to. They did a very good job of kind of finishing this, like the Elite versus BCC. However, you still have like parts of it still going on, and we're probably going to see more of it between the 8 people. But yeah, very good way to end the show. Overall, like I said, the second half of the show was way better than the first half. And yeah, I don't know what they should have done different. I think, honestly, I've seen a few people say, and I kind of agree with it, that they should probably move Double or Nothing away from Las Vegas. I think after having it 5 years in a row, even though it is where you started and like it is like gambling themed, maybe you should move it to like somewhere like Atlantic City, where that's still a huge like gambling place. And you're also in still a big market, like I think that's like, I'm pretty sure that's considered New Jersey, like New York area. So I think that would be a better area and just something to refresh it, because I feel like the crowd just wasn't there, whether that's due to the NHL game the previous night or just them not feeling the wrestling that night, whatever that may be. But yeah, like I said, the second half way better. There's a few matches that I didn't really care for and just felt very like out of it, but the 4-way was matching on, in my opinion, and the Anarchy in the Arena was a very close second. But yeah, overall solid night. Interested to see what happens next for AEW. Obviously, we have Forbidden Door on the way, we have All In on the way, and then All Out the after All In. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's next for AEW. But yeah, thank you guys for watching my review for the show. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in our next video.